who are unable to like join the session, it's usually good to record it for them so that they can watch it when they are less busy or when they have the time to. So I was going to actually display a poll to find out like where the participants, like what year the participants are in college. But since you're the only one, so what year are you? Are you a freshman, a sophomore?
Freshman.
Oh, nice. How's your first year in GV been so far?
Good.
Okay. All right.
Not much problems, luckily.
That's nice. What's your major?
History.
Oh, nice, nice. And hope you're enjoying it.
I am.
Yeah. So that means you will probably not be taking any mathematics, right?
Oh, I'm taking mathematics just to pass my requirements.
Oh, I see. Okay, that's good. I'm studying cybersecurity.
Ooh,
Yeah, and I'm a master's student. All right, so this is the agenda that I have for today. Again, because it's both of us, it's just going to be like an informal conversation. If you have any questions, you can always ask me at any point. You don't have to wait till I'm done. Like you can always interrupt me, and I definitely answer your questions. So the agenda basically is to see what is note taken, because this is a note taking workshop. So it's good to just have like a definition for note taking and like see reasons why you want to take notes, like what are the benefits to taking notes. And then we'll look at some note taking methods. If you feel at any point that I'm talking too fast, please let me know. Yeah, because I want to be sure that I'm communicating and you can understand what I'm saying. Is that fine?
okay.
All right. Okay. So what is note taking? So this is a definition from Wikipedia. It says it is the practice of recording information from different sources and platforms. So when you take notes, you're actually like recording the information. And then also it says that by taking notes, writers can record the essence of information, freeing their mind from having to recall everything. And this is one part that I really like. Just imagine like you having to recall everything that happens in your class, at work, in your dorm, like everywhere. It can be a lot, right? Having to recall like every detail and the rest. But then when you take notes, yeah, you free your mind from that task. At least your mind does not have to remember everything. Just by looking at your notes, you're able to recall, oh, this also happened that day. But then imagine if there was no note to serve as a reference, it would be a very stressful task. So that's note taking. And then so why take notes? There are different reasons why you want to take notes, but then these are like reasons as it pertains to you as a student. Yeah. The first one is it forces you to pay attention in class. Yeah. So when you're in class, it's very possible for your mind to wander. You're in class, but then you're thinking of, oh, that noodles I'm going to eat when I get home. Or you're thinking of, oh, there's a match today. Oh, I'm part of a club and the rest. It's very easy for your mind to wander. But if you're taking notes while in class, then it forces you to pay attention because you're trying to get the important points from what the professor is saying. So that way you are forced to actually like pay attention, as opposed to if you're not taking notes at all, and then your mind can easily, travel to different places. Also, it helps you to learn. Taking notes helps you to learn as a student. There have been different studies that shows how like by engaging with a topic, when you listen and then by summarizing it by taking notes, it helps you to understand and remember the information later. So taking notes actually is very helpful in learning. Yeah, it helps you to remember what you have listened to and what you have learned. So it's actually a very good way to learn. Yeah. Another advantage to taking notes is that it helps you to keep a record of things, you know. So the fact that you attended a class does not actually mean that you remember everything that happened in the class or everything that transpired, yeah, or like everything. And the fact that you were in a class does not mean that you can actually remember everything that would probably come out in a quiz. You know, sometimes you'll be in class and the professor will be like, oh, this is a likely quiz question. The fact that you were there does not mean that you remember. But when you take notes, it helps you to keep a record of these things. It helps you to keep a record of, oh, what did I learn in class today? What were the important points that the professor emphasized on? You know, it helps you to remember, like to keep this record. And when you go back to the notes, you're able to actually remember, like, oh, this also happened in the class. Oh, this is what led to this, right? And then also, taking notes helps you to study. Yeah, like it's for you to actually get good grades, you need to have like a very good notes. Yeah, because that's like the basis for whatever you'd be studying. So it helps you to study because by regularly reviewing your notes, you're able to get the most out of the notes, and also you're able to come up with sample questions for your test. Yeah, from your notes, you're able to come up with flashcards as well, which might be very useful in preparing for a test or an exam, for example. All right. So there are different note-taking methods. Yeah, these are just some. This list is not enough. There are a lot. We have outlines, we have Cornell notes, we have concept maps, we have mind maps, we have diagrams. Like if you are very artistic, this might be a good way to take notes. We have mind maps as well. Yeah, so there are different ways to take notes, and then we'll look at some of them during the course of this call. Yeah, but then feel free to also, if you have a note-taking method that you're currently using, which is not on this list, if it's working for you, please, you can stick with it. But then this is just to give you an idea of some of the note-taking methods that are available. And also you need to know that the note-taking method you use for a class is usually dependent on the class and sometimes the course. For example, like if, for example, you are doing a history course, diagram might not be applicable as a note-taking method for you. Yeah, except maybe you have like real diagrams that you're drawing, and then that might be useful. So sometimes the methods you eventually use are usually dependent on the class you're taking at any given point in time. All right. So I have a poll here, so I'm just going to ask you, since it's both of us. Yeah, do you currently use any note-taking methods in your class?
I do actually. Depending on what class it is, like usually if it's something like reading or history or writing, I take bullet points, but sometimes during math, I'll write down the equations that the professor is writing out on the board and like or like any patterns or anything just to so I could look through them later and see like when I'm studying for tests.
That's nice. That's nice. It's good to know that you already have some note-taking methods that you're currently using. So I'd say that that's a good one. Yeah, and then like the bullet points you mentioned will lead us to the first note-taking method, which is outline. So basically on the outline method, this is like the simplest, right, type of method, and it's based on bullet points. So like this is probably a method you're already using. So basically in the outline, you have like a general point, and then you have like sub-points for each main topic. So you have a main topic, and then within the main topic, you have like subtopics. And then for each subtopics, you highlight like the points for each one of them. So I don't know so much about history, but then like I'm taking a data analytics course, and then we had a class called, like we had a topic which was like the main topic called data preprocessing. And under data preprocessing, we had several subtopics. We had data normalization, I think data handling outliers, handling missing values. These were different subtopics on their own. And then each subtopic had its own subtopic. So for each subtopic rather, like you had to put in details for each one of them. So that's the outline method. It is the simplest method, yeah, that you can use to take notes. Yeah. And then we have the Cornell notes. So this is a note-taking method that has been in existence for quite a while, right? So basically the way it works is you would divide your notes into 3 parts. So you have a smaller portion underneath. So can you see where you have the summary? That'll be like the smaller parts. And then you have something like an eye in the middle. So, and then you have like the top part. So the first thing you want to do in the Cornell notes is you want to date the notes. right? So you want to put a date on the note, you want to put a title for the note, and sometimes you might even want to put your name in case like your notes gets missing. Now, during the class, you want to populate the notes part. So you have like the notes parts, you have the cues, and then you have the summary. So during the class, you want to populate the note part. That's where you take like detailed notes. So in the notes part, that's where you put things like some of the ideas or relevant information that you get during the class about the topic. So you have the topic at the top, and then you have the notes parts where you put in the ideas, the relevant points from the class, right? And then you can use the bullet points as well. You can use diagrams in the notes parts. Now, for each point, you want to separate it probably by a space so that you do not, because if everything is put together, it's possible that when you're reading, it might become cumbersome. But then if you leave spaces, at least you're able to clearly see which information relates to which parts in the notes section. Then the cue section, that's where you feel when you're reviewing the notes. So when you're reviewing the notes, you want to put in the cues part some of the sample questions that you can ask, or some of the sample questions that the notes part address. So for example, you want to say, oh, what is history? That will go into the cues part. I don't know if there's anything called types of history, but if there was something like that, that's where you put the in the cues parts. And then in the summary, so the summary is basically like giving like an overview, like a summarized version of what you have at the top. Yeah, so if, for example, somebody asks you, oh, what does this note contain? Yeah, you probably summarize it to them in a way. So that's what you want to put in the summary. So this is a very good technique for taking notes. Now, I don't know if the way I explained this is clear or if you want me to go over it again.
I think I get it.
Okay, all right. So I don't know, do you know the Student Academic Success Center in GV?
I think so. Is it at
SASE.
where is it located at?
The Student Services Building.
Student
I
Service
think,
Building.
I think.
Maybe. I think I've heard about it at orientation. I might have seen it at orientation. I know about the other tutoring centers and the accommodation center.
Yes. So on their website, they actually have a video on how to create, like how to use the Cornell Notes. So if probably like some other time you want to use the Cornell Notes, they also have a video that can be very helpful. Now, in the references of this slides, I've also included like links to videos that actually show you like how to fill these notes. Yeah. So Cornell Notes is a very good technique for actually taking notes in class, yeah, after class, and also giving you a summary. So that way you're able to come up with questions that can be asked, which you would put on the cue side of the Cornell notes. Then we have concept mapping, yeah. So there is concept mapping and then there is time maps. Mind maps, yeah. So we have concept maps and we have mind maps. So the concept maps basically, you can see like you have like a general concept. This is climate change, and then you draw arrows pointing to different parts of the map. So for example, you have climate change. Yeah, that's the concept, that's the big idea. And then you have like an arrow going to say, oh, what are the causes of climate change? Yeah, that's a subtopic more or less, right? So it's just like a diagram representation of like an outline. So you have the major topic, that's the main topic, and then you have arrows that point to different subtopics, right? And then you have, for each subtopic, then you have pointers to different ideas about them. So if you look at this, you have the climate change, right? And then like you can see it's the causes, that's a subtopic or a relationship more or less to the topic. What are the causes? You can see human activities or this. These are different causes of climate change. So you can see the relationship between climate change and causes. So in concept map, you're looking at relationships, yeah, between different concepts. Then you can see also there is the solution. That's, oh, sorry. That's another relationship. So for concept map, you're using arrows to illustrate the relationship between one concept, between the main concept and sub-concepts within it. And then you also put a relationship between the sub-concept. Yeah, so you can see, so it's a diagram representation of your notes. So this is also a good way to take notes. Don't forget, like I mentioned, like the note-taking method option you use will dependent on your class, also dependent on like the structure or the kind of content that is being delivered in class. Yeah, so you can see, so this is a good concept map. And one of the advantage of concept map is that it helps you understand how things are related. For example, you want to know, okay, so we can see, okay, these are the causes of climate change. So we can see the relationship between climate change and human activities. Human activities cause climate change, right? That's the relationship. We can also see if a change in human behavior can actually be a solution to climate change. So concept math emphasizes relationships between the different concepts. I don't know if this is clear.
Yeah, I like how it's organized in a way that links to different subjects without having it all jumbled up in one sentence.
Yes. So it's a general concept, and then you draw arrows showing the relationship of one concept to another. Yeah. So how is climate change related to human activities? Human activities cause climate change. So that's the relationship between human activities and climate change. So concept map actually shows the relationship. So let's move to the next one. So we have mind maps. Yeah. So mind maps is similar to concept map. The only difference is how like they are being used or in their use case. So for example, concept map will be used when you're trying to illustrate complex systems, yeah, or different processes. In that situation, concept map will be like a good advantage. But then mind maps can also be used to relate different topics, subtopics to a central topic. So the same thing, we can use the climate change. That's our central topic. And then we have subtopic. What are the causes of climate change? What are the types, if that's even something, types of climate change? What are the factors that affect climate change? These are different topics that are related to climate change. So in mind map, so you can see mind map and concept map are in a way related, right? So in mind map, you have the central topic, and then you draw relationship between central topics and the different ideas for each subtopic. So it's very, very similar to concept map. The only difference is there are use cases where each one is applied. So I don't know if you understand this. Just looking at the diagrams, can you be able to tell the difference? I'm sorry if I'm putting you on the spot.
You're all good. I understand. I'm the only one here, so
Yes, that's like let me ask questions, because I don't want to share everybody like I just talk, and then you're like, nah, this is not for me. You understand? Like I want to know where I need to improve, and I need to know that okay, you understand. But that's fine. If you have no comment as well, you can just say no comment, and that's okay by me. I won't take offense. Yeah.
it looks
So
similar to the previous one. Because they're both mapping out topics and
yes.
facts.
Yes, so they are both maps. So I think the difference, I guess for this, it's usually based on like individual preference, which one do you prefer? And I think like it's just like the use cases. Yeah, there are different use cases for them and in the real world, but they are pretty much similar in my opinion. I might be wrong, but that's what I think, that they're more or less very, very related. Okay, and then we have diagrams. So I don't know if this is a note-taking method you would use, but then in the sciences, yeah, you have a lot of diagrams. Yeah, so diagram is also a way to take notes. Yeah, so you can see the human brain anatomy. That's a diagram. You can see different parts of the brain. Yeah, so that's a way of taking notes. So diagram is also a very good way to take notes. Yeah, and you can also see like the cell. You can see the cell structure. You can see the different parts of the cell structure. You can also see like notes of what each part means. So diagram is also a very good note-taking strategy that you can use. So basically, like I mentioned earlier, the strategy you would use would also be dependent on your class. Like I know in maths, you'll probably be doing a lot of graphs, yeah, where you have X, Y, and the rest. But then like in sciences, yeah, chemistry, biology, they do a lot of diagram. They use a lot of diagrams to take notes. So diagram is also another note-taking method that you can actually use. And then if you're someone that is artistic and like to draw, and like if you are very good with drawing and the rest and you like it, it's also a good way to take notes, right? So I feel like even for all the other note-taking methodologies available, yeah, you're free to customize it to your own taste. Yeah, so it doesn't have to be, oh, it's a mind map, so it has to be like this. You're free to draw the maps the way you want. You're free to add diagrams. So they are very flexible methods that you can use, right? And then the last one I have is the traditional method, yeah, where this is also similar to outline if you ask me, but then this is where you're taking notes with your pen. Yeah, so for the outline method, I forgot to mention that if you're using the outline method on the paper, you have to give like enough room for like the different points for the different subsections. But then if you're using your system, you can indent them. If you're using a laptop to take notes or an iPad, you can always indent and then, make your notes. So this is the traditional format where you just take your notes. It's similar to the outline method, really, in my opinion. Yeah. So that's what I have for you today. I don't know if you have any questions for me. Yeah.
Not that I can think of. Do you think there are templates online I can use in case like I want to try something different or like
Oh, yes, yes, yes. If you just Google Cornell Notes, there are templates you can use. And GVSU SASE, yeah, they have a lot of resources when it comes to taking notes available that you can download. So they have Word documents, they have PDFs that you can actually download and use. So I had included references to some of this. So I recommend that you watch some of these videos. They're actually very, very helpful on how to fill the notes. So for example, there's a video on Cornell Notes that actually tells you how to fill, what to go in what side, what should go with the other side. So let me share my web browser so you can see some of these resources on the SASE website. I think I included it in the references as well because I used some materials from that too. So I don't know if you can see my screen.
ah,
Yeah, so this is the SASE, Student Academic Success Center. If you go to academic resources, you can see they have resources for different things. For time management, for goal setting, study skills, they have as many. But then our focus for this would be note taking. So if you come here, you see note taking here, right? And if you click on it, you can actually see like tools that you can download. For example, they have the Microsoft templates for Cornell Notes. They have the, let me see if I can open this. So this is the Cornell Notes templates, yeah. So you can see how to, this is the Q column, this is the part where you take the notes, this is where you put a summary, yeah. And then this is where you put the title, the topic, and the date. So they have something that you can use, yeah. Then if you also go to Mind Map, they have helpful resources for mind mapping as well. Yeah, so this is so you can see like resources on mind mapping and how it helps you to effectively manage your time. You can see steps on how to mind map and the rest. So they have a lot of resources. So at any time you're less busy, you can just go over their website for resources on note taking. Then for mapping, so I intentionally did not list all these types of maps because I feel like they are still saying the same thing. But then it would be a nice thing if you can go to the website and just check some of the maps anytime you want to. You're not mandated to, but if you decide you want to try out some of this maps option, you can actually come here to see, oh, how do you draw a star map? How do you do a spider map? And these videos are They're like 2 minutes long, so they are all very short videos. How do you create flash maps, flash cards, and the rest? Yeah. So this is a helpful resource that you can use.
Nice.
You're welcome. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being my audience.
You're welcome.
Thank
Hopefully
you
next
very much.
time.
Yeah. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Do you have midterms anytime soon?
Meeting.